Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going through another, essentially what we're doing is just rounding up all the meta decks. We've already done Trap Tricks and Prior Plant, so now we're going to tackle the third best deck of the format, Tenyi. And Tenyi is probably, in terms of the whole Discord, this is probably the favorite deck of just, like, if it were to average out between the four meta decks, it would come down to Trap Tricks and Tenyi, and Tenyi, I believe, would take it. Let's just get into this. Essentially, what this is played as is a blind second deck. So essentially, you can tell that from the double Lava Golem, triple Radiant, triple Kumungus. We are playing six Kaijus and two Lava Golems, which are like basically Kaijus. We want to be going second pretty much every time we can. We break the board with our tribute, the Kaiju's and Lava Golem. I'm trying to find a name that encapsulates both Lava Golem and the Kaiju's, but I can't do it. And also Pankratops, in order to effectively OTK and or build a board that is practically unbeatable. Essentially, what these against Tenyi, what these do is you can kind of ignore Redoer because you can tribute over them without them having their chance to respond. You can kind of ignore certain, like, you can ignore certain, like, pieces of interruption. For example, Ninja has a really bad Tenyi matchup, as I explained in the Ninja video, because you can, if your Ninja if your one of your Tennies get flipped over, you can just summon another one and do the exact same combo. So it's really good in playing into disruption. So that's why the deck is best suited to go second. That's essentially the explanation for just all the Kaiju's, Lava Golem, and Pank. So let's just get in. Mari Mari. This deck card, essentially, when summoned, you can summon a bunch of tokens and then go link spam mode. So you can make Shaman of the Tenyi, you can make Berserker, you can make Lanfo, right? Even Sahasara if you want to. But you can also use it to, I believe, yes, this is a tuner, so you can also make one of the synchros. I doubt you're doing this, but you could theoretically. Essentially, yes. So basically, this card is just for going for link spam. It's essentially, if this card hits the board and resolves uninterrupted, you're gonna have a hard time losing the duel. For Tennis, we're running triple Ashana, triple Vishuda, one Nahata, two Mapura, three Sathana, and three Adhara. Ashana is the best Tenyi monster in the game. Essentially, you summon it, you link it off, and then you banish Ashana, summon another Tenyi. So this is effectively just a free, and then when you do that, you summon the Tenyi, you link them off, you can make Shaman, you can Shaman pitch one, summon, and then you essentially have just, like, that's a one card Berserker. Quite strong, especially in, like, formats and metas where, like, and like that also includes getting a free Tenyi in the grave, right? So that it's really good in just, like, going first. It's good, just it helps. It alleviates any issues with your combo lines, if that makes sense. Troll Fushida, this is the second best Tenyi in the game. The higher level ones are the best. And this is also played generically. You can go Vishuda, summon this, link it off into a monk, and then banish Vishuda to bounce something on your opponent's field. You can also just banish this straight up if you control a normal monster from your hand and then bounce something. It's a good removal spell, but it's also extension, like all the Tennies, which is important. One Nahata, this is clearly the worst Tenyi, but I mean, hey, it's a 4 and it summons. It's a Tenyi name that summons itself, and that's good. Mapura is kind of the same thing, but it's slightly better. Essentially, whenever a something targets a face-up non-effect monster like your Berserker, you can banish this to negate it. Right? Easy. Sathana, another decent one. This one is slightly better because it works as, like, a battle trap from hand. And those are, like, decent in this format, especially without Kaleido Chick, because I believe Kaleido Chick only works on traps. I could be wrong there, but you can kind of tell that Sathana was kind of made to be able to let Tenyi out a bunch of bigger bodies, especially when they can't be targeted by Sahasara. Adhara is another quite strong one. You'd know this if you ever played against Adventure Tenyi in Master Duel. But this is a tuner. It's a level 1, and then when it's linked off, you can banish it, and I believe just search any. You can target a banished worm monster and add it to your hand. So if you banished a worm monster, let's say off of um, something else, or if it's just your turn 3, you can pick this up. You can pick up a Tenyi from your banish zone and then summon it, reuse all of its effects. Very good. Double Desires. This deck doesn't really care about banishing things. Half of its cards are going second cards anyway, so you don't really care about banishing them after you've actually already drawn your hand. The only one that's kind of annoying is like, banishing a Mari Mari just fully turns off that. And somehow if you banish 3 blackouts, you don't have anything to do off Tactical Trapper anymore. But like, come on, those are both incredibly unlikely situations. Well, the Mari Mari is actually not that unlikely, but also you're not going for it every game, so it's still fine. Vessel of the Dragon Cycle. You can send a worm from deck to grave, already broken, and if you control a non-effect monster, you can search a Tenyi. Yeah, no, this card is the greatest card ever printed. You Foolish Burial, also add a card from deck to hand. Who cares, right? Do whatever you want. Heavenly Dragon Circle. You contribute a worm monster and then search a worm monster from deck to hand, or if it was a non-effect monster, you can summon it instead, but negate its effects. And then you can banish this card from grave if you control a non-effect monster to search a Tenyi from deck to hand. Hey, it provides some utility, and it's also Forbidden Lance if you squint hard enough, so, that's pretty good. A new tech since the last time I talked about this deck is called Jewels of the Valiant. If exactly one monster is banished from your grave and no other cards are banished at the same time, you can send a monster from your deck to the grave with a different attribute than the banished monster. Essentially, you can go banish Adhara and then bin. You can, banish Ashana and then bin Adhara. That's good. If you didn't know, that's good. And then 3 blackouts. I skipped over Proofiness, so we're just going to talk about it with Blackout. Essentially, what you can do with Proofiness is you can summon it, banish Blackout, and then summon a token, and then make Crocodragon draw 1. That's fine. So and then we make Crocodragon draw 1. It's just basically it's a normal summon +1, and you also get a pop off of it, off of the Crocodragon. Nice to have. Blackout's also just a good card. You can target worm monsters and pop 2. That's good. Onto the extra deck. We already talked about Crocodragon's use. You summon it off Proof Finesse, but you can also, theoretically, summon it off of a Adhara plus Nahata Bapura, or 2 of the 4s. Theoretically, you can summon it like that, and if you do summon it like that, you can draw 2. It comes up sometimes, not often. Stardust Dragon. This is Adhara plus either of the 7s, Vishuddha or Ashana. And it's Stardust Dragon, right? It's just it's the best Synchro 8 we have access to. Tornado Dragon. This guy was a worm? That's crazy. Yeah, it's just Tornado Dragon. You play him in every deck anyways, but he has extra use here because he's a worm. 2 Sahasrara. At the beginning of Common Charity, this was the Tower's boss you were supposed to end on. But now, ever since we switched to Blind Second, this card has taken a different role. It's more of hey, we failed to OTK, link the board off into Sahasrara, and then target Lava Golem, make a 3K token, right? It kind of just works in a way where you can summon tokens and then you can kind of control the game after you've failed to OTK, just in case you have. Berserker of the Tenyi. This is the card you're ending on most of the time. You end on this and a bunch of Tenyi effects in the grave to protect it. Again, the card is okay, right? But it doesn't the power doesn't come from it just being a 3K beat stick. It just comes from it being a normal monster, so all the Tenyis can have access to it. Shaman of the Tenyi. Card's good. Hey, what can I say? Pitch 1, revive a Tenyi or worm from grave. Yeah, just a worm, and then you can't activate monsters from someone from the extra deck except Tenyis. So at that point, you kind of just you forego your Crocodragon access, but if you're not making Crocodragon first, you're doing it wrong anyways. And then it has a funny little battle trick effect. It's not crazy. But you want to have the revival effect for extension. Land for Rinkus, card's good. It's just a normal monster you can make as a link to. So just in case, let's say Your only cards in hand are like the high level uh Tenyis and Proofiness. You can go like Proofiness, banish Blackout, summon a token, link them off for Landfo, and then summon Tenyis. Don't know if that's good. It could be. But that's just the first play that came to my head. Otherwise, yeah, this card is quite strong. It's been summoned on me a couple times. And then 3 monks. This is the entire deck built like is built around monk. Just having a link one in any archetype that gets advantage from the grave will obviously automatically make it busted. The sideboard can be just any basic sideboard. You don't need to side anything specific because you're playing Tenyi. The deck just plays pretty well around skill drain, pretty well around rivalry. I don't know which floodgate this deck plays around, but it plays around one of them for sure. Tikbu maybe, whatever. Skill drain is the real that's what you're supposed to play around. Um, Essentially, you can just end on like sometimes you just draw skill drain, you can activate it, and then end on like the berserker with 10e protection effects, and then you just win. All right. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you next time.